Hi viewers, welcome back. In this video now I am going to show you some multiple example of developing drop-down list. Not only from data validation the simple way. First I will show the simplest one and then after that I will show you a trick with which you can develop a more advanced, dynamic and something which extract unique values from the database itself and update itself as well when there are entries. Here the first simple method for drop down is if you are going to develop a drop down here, so go to data validation, then here list, in type how many things. For example, if you are developing it for gender, so male comma female comma other, just with the comma use all those words and okay, and here you will have a drop down. This is the simple one. Now for example, you already have a list of a drop down with you, or you don't have, you have a department name and you want to develop a unique list, so copy this, paste it somewhere, and there go to data, remove the duplicate so that you have a unique list, click this column, okay, so you have the unique list of ABC. There are only 3 departments. Go to data validation, and here in the list, come here in the source and select that range and okay, so you will have a drop down for that department. So that was another way. Now how you can develop a drop down from a list. For example, this is your database. Here you have a department. You want to create a drop down list for this, but this is a complete database of thousands of entries, and there in the department maybe some other department also added later. So how you can develop a drop down list which extract unique items for a dynamic data validation drop down from the database. List of items are repeated here. So how you can develop a drop down from such a list that it gives me the unique name only, because if I select this and apply data validation and drop down list, so all these departments which are repeated would there also be shown as repeated, and their drop down list will be same as this department column is in the database. So how you can develop such a drop down from a database column which gives you only unique name, that here when you select the drop down, so it gives you only unique name, and if later on someone do some entries in this database, so that drop down is also updated with it. Now here in this department list, if you see, we have only A, B and C department, so we have only these 3 departments. Now for this you need to create a list like this. You need to use this formula, so it would create a list from this, that in this department you have A, B and C, and if you drag it below, so it shows 0, nothing. Why? Because there is no any other entry in this database, only these 3 departments are there. If I change a department name here, so here you see I have a D also now available. If I change it to E, so here you see I have an E drop down also available. So how you can make that from this list? Now first of all, if you look at this formula, it looks very confusing. There is if error formula, index formula, match formula, then an index formula, then count f. So first let me give you the example of each one. So first I can use index formula. Index, and then select all this column in the database, and after comma it asks me for row number. Which row number should I go? So basically if you see, this A is at row number 1, then 2, then 3, so let's use 1. It's giving me A. Now if I go down, so it would be giving me the same information which is available already in that column, because here I have said 1, so everywhere this 1 is going with it. It's not working. So here when I copy and paste it below, so it should automatically go to this one, the B, which is at the 3rd row. and then when I copy and paste it in the third row, so it should go to C, which is in the fifth row. So similarly, I need here a formula which count these words and give it a specific number. So now I need formulas which give me these row numbers, because it asks me for row number. Here if I press 1, if I add 1, so it gives me the first row, but if I go down, so it would also go down and that 1 would be there, and again A, then after that it would say B, and if I change this row number manually, so obviously it would give me that specific. For example, B is at 3 and up I say, but I need this number to be automatic. So for that I need a formula. As I told you that if you want that this list should be dynamic and it should be updated, so your database, the main table, the main database, you should select that all, press Ctrl T and convert that into the table. I have converted this to a table. How you can convert? Select your complete database, press Ctrl T, and then this is the my row is header and OK. So it will be then it will be converted to a table, and when there are some updates, so all your drop down and relevant formulas would be updated. When it is a table in the table format, so when you go to the table design, here it gives you the table name, table 3. This is the name of this table. You can change this name to main table or main database or main DB, for example. You see now it says index main DB department, and then I am looking at the department to obtain a list, so it's giving me this A, but I need a formula for this row number. Now for that, since we want that this department list should be a unique and it should not repeat itself, so we will use different formula. For example, we will use match small bracket. Now what is the lookup array for match? Since I am creating a new list, so for the time being the lookup value for match is 0. Then I will use comma. After the comma, I will use index formula because I am going to use a count if formula, and match cannot understand arrays like that, so I will use index for that. So here I will use index small bracket. Now what is the array for the index? That is to count if small bracket. What is the range? Count this department. And what should be the range? Colon, and then again select that department, but the first range should be locked. Lock the first range and leave the second range. And where it should look for this department? Comma, criteria, that is this one, this main DB. Small bracket close. Now this was for the count if this small bracket. Now I need, this was the array for the index, this count if complete formula, now a comma. Now row number. Row number currently I don't need because that row number would be given automatically by the count if. So I will just use a comma again. Then column num. So for column num, since it is in the square bracket, so it's optional, so I will leave that and close the bracket. For the match function, it asks me for lookup array, so that is also a comma, and match type is 0 exactly, and then score small bracket and enter. Now you see it gives me 1, the number that I needed. Now if I drag it below, so you see it gives me 3, because then it's going to this row number. So I have obtained the row number from it basically. So I will use this formula, this complete row num formula here. Instead of this 1, I will use this row num formula and will enter. Now if I drag it, you see B, then C, D, E, F, G. Now onward it's giving me error, and I want that this list might be updated, so I will drag it as much as I want according to my expectation. Now what to do with these errors? and basically this list would be in the data source sheet. You are just using it for because you want here a drop down list of the department, a dynamic one, which is from the unique value and which is updated automatically when there are entries. So here you want a drop down, so this one would be in a data source, another sheet. I'm using it here just to make it easy for you. So now how can I make this list that whenever there is a department, so it should show, otherwise it should not show these errors. These should be blank cells. So for that we use if error formula. So in the start I will use if error small bracket, and then at the end of this formula after comma, for the if error it's a value if there is error. So what should I do? So after comma I will just use these quotes start and end, that you should show nothing. These quotes mean show nothing, and then small bracket close and enter. So now if I drag it below, so you will see that when these departments names are no more, so it would show nothing, it would be blank. And why I locked this first column, the first range I locked and the next one I didn't, so that it may drag down itself below when I am going, just to see that that department one is going below. Now this is the drop down that we have created. So now here if I am developing a drop down data validation list, this is another sheet but I am just using it here. So now here what will I do? I will select this and I will also select some blank rows, because if some new entries come, so that would be available here and that should also be updated in the drop down list. So here now what will be the issue? If you see here you have these department, but here you have blank rows also. So there is another formula for this which is called offset. You will have to create an offset formula for it. So how this offset work? Here we will just develop a formula that we will use in the data validation. Here instead of selecting this range we will use that formula here. So what is that offset doing? Is equal to offset small bracket. Now reference, what is the reference? Reference usually is the header. Now how many rows? I do not want any rows, so I will just use a comma. How many columns? I do not want a column, so I just will use a comma. Now height. For height, if you see here, I am expecting that this list might go up to this place. So I can use different from formulas for this now. For example, if I say that here for this height, since I don't know yet about the height and width, so I can use a formula to determine that. Height means that how much I should go after this reference, how much height I should use. So I will use a formula. A formula, what formula? For example, count if I use count if is equal to count if small bracket, count if what? Range is this one. What is the criteria? Criteria can be anything, any text which is available here. You can use count A also, but any text. When you want to count any text in the count if, so you use in the quotes this interrogation sign and then steric, that any word which has at least a character, and then close the quotes and small bracket close. So it says 6. So here we have 6. You see there are 6. Now what I will do, I will use this formula instead of the height. I will copy this, go to the department, and here instead of the height I will use this formula. And when I use this formula, so this first range should be the first one, the first item of the drop down, then comma, after comma it asks for row, so it should be nothing, then column nothing, then after that height. So for height I use count if E40 to E53. From here to here. I have used this place just in case if new department comes, so that would be added here, so that should automatically go to the drop down also. And then what should it count? It should count anything, any character, even if that is one character. So I have used that. Then after that I used a comma, and for width I have also not used anything, and then close bracket and enter. So it gives me this formula. For the time being, it says in your department there are department up to H. If from this database I remove the H department, so here you see you cannot see that H department now. And if you add another department, for example ABC department, so it's available here and here also. But this formula I will cut this formula from here. I will just use it in the drop down list that I am going to create. So I will go to data validation, and here instead of any list I will paste that formula, that offset formula, and okay. Now here I can see all these departments, and there are no blank rows, although I have selected these rows. But if a new entry of department comes up, XYZ department entered, so it's available here also. And if I go to the drop down, it's available in the drop down also here, XYZ. So this will obviously be in another sheet, because we use another source data sheet for such drop down list. But you can create such drop down list and auto updated dynamic drop down list from your database also for any column that you need. So you have just to use this formula. It's available here. You can see this, you can take a snapshot or rewind the video and see whatever functions we applied here. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much. Keep learning. Mail merge, then other tricks of the Microsoft Excel and other softwares, other learning tips, how to prepare yourself for interviews, these other playlist of learning online data collection, KOBO, MS Form, Google Form for collecting online data, data analytic, project management series is there is a playlist for MS Excel, beginners also, Windows, and all these playlists, single playlists are also available. So you can benefit from all these sessions, which are free of cost, and you just open it and watch them and learn and improve your productivity. There are these beautifully designed PowerPoint presentations, how to make these PowerPoint presentation, and every video has a detailed step-by-step tutorial. So visit my channel, subscribe, like and share, and comment. Comment is very important for me, because if you comment a video, so I can improve these videos more. Whatever question you have, so you can ask, and this will be good for the channel also, and learn and improve your product. Thank you.